Hello and welcome. My name is Lynn, and today I am crafting with one of the most recent releases from Spellbinders. The collection is called Holiday Cheer, and I'll leave links to everything in the description box below if you want to check it out. I don't have the full collection, so I'm crafting with I think a few sets from a couple sets from the collection. This one's got to be my favorite though because it's got adorable kitty cat and puppy that you can assemble. And then you can leave them just as they are because they're super cute on their own, but then you can add these really fun Christmas accessories to them, like the Santa hat. It could also be an elf hat if you die cut it out of different color. And then you've got the reindeer ears or antlers, and also a bow, which you could leave off the tail of the bow, and it could just be a little bow tie for your kitty cat or your puppy. So really, really adorable. Okay, the set does come with two different head shapes, and I feel like you could probably mix them up, but I would have to just experiment to see how it looks. But what I did was I used it basically as it's been designed. So this one here is for the puppy, and the oval one that's a little bit more horizontal is for the kitty cat. They both share the same body pieces. So there's actually two though. There's one that cuts out the main body, which I've die cut out of a darker color. And then if you want, you can layer on top of that just the tummy and make that a different color if you want. And so I've done that for all of my furry friends today, but you could definitely just use the main body piece and not have a second color if you didn't want. So the puppy and the kitty cat have different ears. They are both part of the same die plate that has the reindeer antlers on them. The inside of the ears are these little triangle pieces, and I love that they give us all of that detail. I think it's fantastic. That little detail is part of a separate die plate, and I actually didn't use it, but there are actually dies for putting a little spot or a little patch over the eye of your little critter, and they have the left eye and the right eye. So you do have that as an option. I didn't do that on any of my furry friends this time around, but I definitely think it would be super cute. And similar to the tummy and the body, you could have the paws be a different color as well. So there's a separate die plate that lets you layer on top of the paws just the paw pads. And I was debating whether I wanted one white paw or to make them both white, and I decided to go with making them both white. And then there's a separate die set that has a lot of different sentiments, and the one that I'll be using it's actually all separate words, so you can kind of mix and match to build up your sentiment. And the sentiment I'll be building up is not a pony, and I'll have 3 furry friends each holding one of those words. And the arms are really great because they are positioned so that they can be basically resting on top of something. What I didn't use from this set here is the banners, and you can just see them off to the left there. And the paws are perfect for resting on top of the banners. I just wanted the puppies and the kitty cat to be holding the individual word sentiments as opposed to having each of them hold a banner. But you could definitely use the banner. There's 2 sentiment options that you get. One is for you, and the other one is hello. So it was really fantastic that this set is super versatile. It does have the Santa hat and the reindeer ears as a little bit more of a holiday theme, but other than that, this set can be really used for any time of year. And with the kitty, I did go ahead and attach the paws just from the back though, just across basically the back of the neck. So the paws are still free and I can still tuck something under them. For the two puppies, I left the paws unattached at the moment because I wasn't sure if I wanted to tilt them, to give them any sort of, little wonky angle. So I wanted to decide that later when I have it on my project. And my project today is going to be a set of 3 Memorydex cards. I'm really starting to get into Memorydex cards, and I think it's going to be just that bit of crafting that I do for myself and something that I keep rather than something that I give away. Most of what I make, I intend to give as gifts or cards, but I think these Memorydex cards will be something just for me. And I already have the other rosettes created, but let me show you how to make one in case you've never done it before. I have this strip of, this is paper, pattern paper. It's thin, lightweight, which makes this fold super, super easy to do just by hand. I still scored it so that I get nice even folds, but even if it's not, if you're off a little bit in your folding, it's not the end of the world. So this is a strip that started from a 12 by 12 paper pad. I cut the strip down to 1 1/4, and for each rosette, I'll need 2 strips. I scored at 1/4 of an inch down that entire 12-inch length. And then I'll glue the 2 ends together to continue that accordion. And then I'll glue the opposite ends together to create a ring. With paper, like a thinner paperweight, this is super, super easy to do because, for one, I mentioned earlier, it's easy to fold as compared to cardstock. And if you're using cardstock, the thinner the better. But also, when you get to this point, because it is a paperweight, it's a little bit less, there's a little bit less tension there, and I'm just fluffing my rosette a little bit so that I can distribute those folds a little bit more evenly. And it's at this point where usually if you're using a thick cardstock, that rosette will tend to want to kind of spring open. So that's why I do like to put a weight on top of it, something a little bit heavy just to hold it down. With paper, you don't need something super duper heavy, because the paper being lighter, it's going to not resist, being held in that circle formation quite as much as a thicker cardstock would. But all the same, you still want to keep some weight on there until it's completely dry. The glue is completely dry. When I'm using cardstock to make my rosettes, I do use a hot glue gun to hold it down. But in this case, being just paper, I am using Beacon 3-in-1, which is a nice thick glue. So it's great for just getting into all of those nooks and crannies. I prefer that to using a PVA glue because of that reason, because it can kind of, because it is more of a gel form, it can really seep into all of those folds and have a nice strong hold. Also, because this is paperweight, using an adhesive that is not water-based is good too, because then it doesn't soak into your papers and potentially warp it. And because the 3D or the Beacon 3-in-1 glue that I have it does take some time to dry. You can kind of see how I'm just sort of rotating between each of these 3 Memorydex cards, and I'm building it up in stages. So I've got my puppy here, which I'm finally gluing down the paws to him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble all of my puppies so that they're holding their respective word. And then I'm going to glue these little portrait frames, which does come in the die set. And so anytime I'm attaching anything to the rosette, I'm going to use the Beacon 3-in-1 glue. And I'm going to try to get them all to that same stage where I've got the rosette glued down to the Memorydex card and the little portrait glued on top of that. And then I'm going to give it some more time to really dry and set up. So once I get it to that point here with the portrait glued on top, I gave it a couple hours actually to really set up and dry before moving on. And that way, as I attach more things on top of it, I don't have to worry about things potentially shifting, but also that way I have really a solid foundation to work on top of, especially since I knew that with these puppies, I might need my 3D glue gel. And if I put weight onto the 3D glue gel, it's just going to smush all of that glue gel out and flatten it, which I don't want. So I want to make sure the rosette doesn't need any more weight on top of it to hold it down. So it's at this point where I walked away, or right after attaching this one. Now's a good time to mention, if you are enjoying this video, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. I don't always say all of these YouTube reminder things. I prefer to just put it in little subtitles and whatnot, but it does help quite a bit when you like and comment. That's the only way that YouTube knows that I'm making content that somebody out there enjoys. And so when they see that, they are more apt to show it to other people who might also enjoy these videos. So after I walked away for a spell and let my rosettes dry completely, I am now going to attach my little furry friends, and I'm putting glue gel where there are multiple layers that were built up. That way I can get a nice sort of even feel for the puppies, and they don't look like their heads in particular, because I think the head is kind of the piece that's probably on the topmost, and that way the heads don't look like they're kind of tilted back because they're glued a little bit further down. That glue gel just helps to raise them up a smidge. And while I was letting everything dry, I was thinking about how else to kind of adorn my Memorydex cards here, and so I just tied a bit of ribbon and pulled out some gold sequins. The gold matches, not exactly, but is sort of a in-between gold of the mirror card that I cut the backing plate or the shadow layer of my sentiment out of. And as well, I'm using papers from the Winter Wonderland collection, some of which are gold foiled. So the gold sequence helps to kind of bring all of that together. And really, really lovely. I still need to craft with the Winter Wonderland Ephemera pack, which I have, and some of the stickers that come in that collection. It's a neat collection because it's sort of a la carte, and so you can pick up whatever you like out of that, just like a stamp and die set collection. So it's not part of a kit or a bundle in the same way that Santa Lane was. Here you can pick up the 6x6 paper pad, which I've been sneaking into my projects just because they're just beautiful papers. And then separately you could get various styles of sentiment stickers and the ephemera ephemera pack is also an option. And so really, really nice that you can kind of just mix and match and pick up the elements that you want, and you don't have to commit to a full kit or bundle. So that's the Winter Wonderland collection where I've pulled these pattern papers. The Memorydex Dies, the set that I picked up just to start with is an inexpensive set from off of Amazon. I try every time I buy something that is not from a big brand that I recognize, I always look at everything else they put out just to make sure that they aren't borrowing designs from other legitimate companies. And so I highly recommend, if you're purchasing off-brand die sets, to maybe give it a moment to check their catalog and make sure that they aren't borrowing designs from other companies, because that just takes money out of those companies' pockets, and it's really, really unfair to them. So I always do a best effort to do that bit of a double check. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. If you're already a subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do if you enjoy my content. That way, if you ring the notification bell as well, you'll get a notification whenever I post new videos to my channel. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.